I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background and a little bit about what happened to me, not because I think that that's things that have happened to me are more important than what happened to Bahrainis, but I think my experience and certain things I've seen and witnessed will give you an idea of the kind of things that are going on over there. In Bahrain, I started off at the College of Arts, and then I transferred in 2008 to Bahrain Teachers College. Bahrain Teachers College was founded in 2008 as a key part of the Bahrain 2030 vision, which was founded under the auspices of the Crown Prince of Bahrain, Khalifa, which in turn came out of a report done, I think, in the early 2004-05, a McKinsey report, which looked at Bahrain's post-oil economic prospects and decided that they were really quite weak, and that one of the things they needed to address as a matter of urgency was the issue of education. So my role there was as academic head of continuing professional development, and I had two responsibilities. One was to work with Bahraini and international stakeholders to put together a comprehensive training package for state sector teachers in Bahrain. The other was to take care of the faculty professional development for Bahraini and other faculty members at Bahrain Teachers College. When I started working there, we were given to understand that this is supported at the highest level, the Crown Prince, the palaces and all the rest of it, that we would encounter resistance from within the system, but that if we did, through the EDB, through the Economic Development Board, we can get in touch with the Crown Prince and he will sort things out for us. Our education reforms were aimed at moving away from what was really a dictatorial model of education, where the students were all passive learners and they were instructed by teachers, to something much more dynamic, much more student-centred, so that students would become empowered learners. I think one of the mistakes that the regime made, perhaps, was in thinking that people who've been through a process like that at school and then later on at university will leave the concept of empowerment and citizenship behind, because that's just what you do at university. Obviously it doesn't work like that. So things worked pretty well for about a year. An important piece of background to what's happening here: people talk about the Bahrain government, people talk about the ruling family, people talk about the regime. It became very clear to me that what we're dealing with there are in fact multiple and conflicting loci of power, even within the regime itself. And this is why I think the position taken by people like Alistair Burt, the Middle East minister — I'm not sure which Middle Eastern countries have a UK minister, but anyway, this is what makes it incredibly naive when he says, "Oh, we're dealing with the government, we're dealing with the government, we're dealing with the royal family, we're dealing with King Hamid." Because my experience was that different factions within the regime actively work against each other, and some of them, I'll mention the people around the Prime Minister, who's been in office for 41 years since Bahrain achieved independence, and the Royal Court Minister, and a few other individuals. My personal belief is that these people have a vested interest in instability, a vested interest in continuing instability, because it's the only thing that gives them a raison d'etat, a reason for keeping their regime in place. So anyway, at first it all worked. What happened was that the Crown Prince's faction lost out in an internal power struggle. These things are never advertised in the media. It's something that you find out initially through rumours, and eventually it becomes clear to you that it became clear to me that what the Crown Prince's faction was trying to do was to set up a set of parallel institutions to the existing Bahrain government institutions, and that this set of parallel institutions were being systematically dismantled. This was going on through April through to September 2010. Simultaneously to that, there was a lot of tension, both in the university. The university became run almost like a police state. You had to guard every word that you said. And in the wider society, there are a lot of clampdowns, a lot of attacks on the villages, so on and so forth. When I came back from my summer vacation, I spent the summer in the UK, I was told that my contract wouldn't be renewed. I was expecting promotion, actually. No reason, good reason was given for that. No. This was September 2010. During that time, and as part of my role as academic head of professional development, I'd undertaken a master's level qualification delivered on campus in the University of Bahrain by a British university, for which I achieved a distinction with an overall grade of 82, and a fellowship of the UK Higher Education Academy, which is the UK lead body for ensuring teaching and excellence in learning in higher education. So there were no question marks over my professional competence. What emerged is that I'd offended a few people in the system. What over when I could talk till Christmas about that, but I won't. Very basically, it was sticking up for human rights, academic freedom and equality of opportunity issues at the college, incidents affecting both students and faculty members there. Just a little bit of background. I'm forbidden to go back to Bahrain. I resigned. I was an eyewitness to a very, very violent incident on campus on the 13th of March 2011, when a peaceful demonstration, largely young women, was attacked by a gang of sectarian thugs. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them from outside of the university. I have photographic evidence of this. They come in with a range of blunt and edged weapons, including axes, spears, swords, all this sort of thing. So the sort of things that you wouldn't really expect people to have at a university. And attack the demonstration. During this attack, they were supported effectively by the Bahrain police. I contributed some 15,000 words of testimony with supporting documentary evidence to the Bahrain Independent Commission of Inquiry on that. The University of Bahrain shut down for 2.5 months following this violent incident while they decided what to do about it. During that time, I, along with other expatriate faculty, were told to go home. I came back here to the UK. I was ordered back to be interviewed by the security services and to have my laptop handed in to the police so that they could do some ICT forensics and see who I've been talking to. I was told via an email, a very terse email, that I would be met at the airport, which sent shivers up my spine. Thinking about it, weighing everything up, I thought that no, I can't do that for the safety of my family. I can't go back there, and indeed, ethical and professional practice in education had become an impossibility in Bahrain at that time. So I submitted a letter of resignation from the UK, giving comprehensive detail as to why I was resigning. I got a letter back from the University of Bahrain. I have the documentation with me in my bag over there, citing, signed by the head of their legal department, Dr. Zaroubi, citing, among other things, surveillance of my internet activity that had been going on as a reason for me being in breach of contract, which incidentally meant that they didn't have to pay me a substantial 5-figure sum in end of contract settlement. I'm forbidden from going back to Bahrain. Not only am I forbidden from going back to Bahrain, but my wife, Miranda, who's at the back there, is also forbidden to go back to Bahrain. My son, Ben, is forbidden to go back to Bahrain, and so even is Rebecca. Rebecca is 3 years old. She's at the back there. Rebecca was born in Jidhef's maternity hospital when I lived in Bahrain. it was important to me that you know, as a good general knows what his men eat and how much they have to march, someone who's working in higher education form has to live in the community. So unlike many Western expats, I didn't live on a compound. I lived just outside of Sard, which is a relatively impoverished neighbourhood. My daughter was born in Jeddah Maternity Hospital in the 3rd of December 2008. Just as a little aside, it was a complicated pregnancy and my wife had to spend 10 days in the hospital. When she was 3 or 4 days old, I went to visit her and my wife told me to get something out of the car. I went to do that. As soon as I walked out the door, my eyes were streaming because of the CS gas that had been released in the immediate vicinity of the hospital. I panicked. I went back inside the hospital and I was told that my daughter, who was slightly premature, my daughter had been moved to an incubator. Obviously, I was a little bit panicky about this. She was a few days old.
That was in 2008?
This was in 2008, yeah. So what I'm saying is that this abuse of tear gas, what I call it carpet gassing, you know, it's effectively using riot control gas to be used in open spaces in certain very open circumstances. It's effectively using it as a kind of chemical weapon, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But I asked the nurse, she says, "Oh no, there's nothing wrong with your daughter. We always do this when gas comes in the hospital." Anyway, so Rebecca there, like myself, is branded as a threat to national security. I've heard through contacts I have, some indirect contacts I have with people who work in the Interior Ministry in Bahrain, that should I'd be stopped at the airport, but should I somehow find a way into Bahrain, maybe a boat from Qatar or something like that, but I'm on a red flag arrest list. Interestingly, I read an interview with the British ambassador to Bahrain, Mr. Ian Lindsay, which was published in the English language, the regime's English language propaganda sheet, the Gulf Daily News. And in it, Lindsay was at pains to point out that he is passing on a list of troublemakers, people who the Bahrain regime don't like, who the regime wants something done about.
You mean like, not everybody, you mean?
It could be anybody. It could certainly be any exiled Bahraini here. This is people that the regime have problems with, and apparently he sent reports to the police, presumably the Metropolitan Police and other agencies. Now, I know how easy it is. All I did was simply speak out. In fact, when I was at the Teachers College, I was at University of Bahrain, one of my responsibilities was to help to implement the UK Higher Education Academy's professional standards framework for teaching and learning in higher education, which has like many UK framework things like this, has a very strong equal opportunities strand to it. So just doing my job, just trying to implement equality opportunities, which I understand between sex and things, got me in trouble. If that can get me in trouble, then God only knows what they can do to Bahrainis. If I can be branded a threat to national security for doing my professional job, then what on earth is going on? I'm a British citizen, I have some degree of protection here. What's going to happen to people who are here on visas or who are here on indefinite leave to remain? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. By the way, on the tear gas, we were told